The star outside the viewing glass burned like a quiet eye, watching the station as it turned. The station was older than most human cities, built by hands that were not human, and it smelled of metal, clean air, and something faintly sweet that Kang Isiak could not name. He stood straight, hands folded, and tried to keep his breathing calm. This was not how he imagined first contact would feel. There were no loud alarms, no sudden attacks, no heroic speeches. There was only silence, weight, and the heavy knowledge that every word spoken today could decide the future of Earth. Isiak was not a famous man. He was not a general or a great leader. He was chosen because he listened more than he spoke, because he learned fast, and because he did not panic easily. At least, that was what the council had said. Right now, his heart was beating fast enough to argue otherwise. Behind him stood Hanmira, her dark hair tied back, her eyes moving nonstop as data scrolled across her wrist screen. She was the best linguist Earth had, and she looked tired in a way that came from thinking too much. Near the doorway, Park Doyan stood like a wall, calm and ready. His eyes trained on everything and nothing at once. The doors ahead of them opened without a sound. The chamber beyond was vast and round, with curved walls that shimmered like liquid glass. Figures stood in layers around the room, tall, short, scaled, furred, glowing, or shaped in ways that made Isiak's mind struggle to keep up. This was the Galactic Assembly. This was where worlds argued, traded, and sometimes vanished. At the center, raised on a smooth platform, sat Queen Liratha. She was taller than any human, her form elegant and sharp, her skin like pale stone brushed with light. Her eyes were old, not tired, not dull, but deep, like they had watched stars be born and die. A soft crown of shifting light rested above her head, never quite touching. The room quieted when Isiak stepped forward. Every step felt heavier than the last. He could feel the gaze of the queen on him, measuring, weighing. Mira's translation system hummed softly, linked to the station's ancient language core. They had tested it 100 times. It had never failed. Isiak stopped at the marked point and bowed, slow and careful, just as he had practiced. "I am Kang Isiak," he said. "I come as a voice for Earth." The words echoed, changed, and flowed outward in sounds not his own. The room stirred, but did not react. Queen Liratha leaned forward slightly. When she spoke, the sound was smooth and layered, like many voices agreeing at once. "Earth has waited long before speaking," she said. Isiak swallowed. "We waited until we could speak with respect." Mira glanced at her screen. Everything looked stable. She gave a small nod. His EOK continued. He spoke of Earth's history, briefly and honestly. He spoke of mistakes, wars, and slow learning. He spoke of survival, of standing back up after falling, of choosing cooperation, even when fear made that hard. Then came the prepared statement. The heart of it. "We seek a lasting bond," Isiak said, carefully. "Not one of rule or surrender, but of shared protection. We offer our strength, our growth, and our future. In return, we ask for guidance, stability, and a place among the stars." Myra's fingers paused for a moment. The translation moved faster than Isiak could follow, flowing into the ancient tongue of the Concord. The air felt tight. The room was silent. Then Queen Liratha laughed. It was not cruel. It was not loud, but it rolled across the chamber like a wave, rich and surprised and sharp with amusement. Several delegates shifted. Some pulled back. Others leaned forward. Isiak froze. "Did you hear that?" Doyan muttered softly through the private channel. Mira's face had gone pale. Queen Liratha lifted one long hand. The laughter faded, but the smile stayed. "How unexpected," she said. "A young world speaking with such courage." Isiak forced himself to speak. If I have misspoken, Your Majesty, I will correct. No, Liratha said gently. There is nothing to correct. She rose from her seat, and the room seemed to lower itself around her. Her eyes locked on Isiak. By our oldest laws, she said, you have offered a vow of binding. Not merely alliance, not merely protection. Myra's screen began to flash warnings. Isiak's mind raced. A vow of binding? Yes, Liratha said. A declaration of shared fate. Spoken openly, witnessed. The queen tilted her head, studying him. In our customs, she continued, such words are spoken only once. Most often as a proposal. The chamber erupted in sound. Voices overlapped. Signals flared. Isiak could not hear his own breathing. Mira whispered, Isiak? The phrase lasting bond mapped to, I know, he said. Quietly, though he did not. Queen Liratha raised her hand again, and silence returned like a held breath. You did not know, she said, looking directly at Isiak. That much is clear. Relief flickered through him. Weak but real. Still, she said, her smile widening, ignorance does not undo meaning. Isiak bowed again, deeper this time. Then allow us to withdraw the words. Earth did not intend disrespect. Liratha's eyes softened, just a little. You asked to withdraw? She asked. Yes, he said. If our future is to be built, it should begin with clarity. The queen considered him. The silence stretched long enough to hurt. Then she laughed again, lighter this time. No, she said. I find this far too interesting. Gasps moved through the chamber. I accept, Queen Liratha said. The words landed like a shockwave. Isiak's knees almost gave out. Accept, he echoed. A trial bond, she clarified. Bound by law, limited by time. Your world will be tested, observed. She stepped closer, stopping just a few paces away. If humanity survives its own promise, she said, then we will speak again. Myra stared at her screen in horror. Diane's hand tightened into a fist. And if we fail? Isiak asked. Liratha's smile faded into something honest. And your words will become your end. The doors began to close as the chamber sealed. Isiak stood frozen, understanding one terrible truth. He had not just spoken for Earth. He had promised it. The human delegation was escorted through long white halls that curved like the inside of a shell. No guards touched them, but they were never alone. Lights followed their steps. Doors opened before they reached them and closed the moment they passed. Kang Isiak felt like he was walking inside. A living thing. Han Mira finally broke the silence. The system flagged the error too late, she said, her voice low. The phrase matched a legal vow older than our recorded history. So we are engaged? Park Doyan asked dryly. Myra shot him a sharp look. Not like humans think of it. It's political, legal, dangerous. Isiak rubbed his temples. His head hurt, but his thoughts were clear in a painful way. She said trial bond, he said. That means there is a way out. Yes, Mara replied. If we fail. They were led into a chamber smaller than the assembly hall. This room was quiet and warm, with soft light and smooth seats grown from the walls. The doors sealed behind them. A voice filled the room, calm and distant. Human representatives, you will remain here while turns are prepared. How long? Doyan asked. Time is flexible, the voice replied. Mira exhaled slowly. I hate that answer. Isiak sat down. His legs finally shook now that no one was watching. He stared at his hands. Earth trusted me with words, he said softly. And words trapped us. You didn't know, Mira said. No one could. That doesn't matter, he replied. Results matter. The room shifted slightly. A section of the wall flowed open. Queen Liratha entered alone. Up close, she felt even more unreal. Her presence pressed on the air, not with force, but with certainty. She moved without sound and stopped a respectful distance away. "You speak of blame," she said. "Already." Isiak stood at once and bowed. Mira and Doyan followed. "Please," Liratha said. "Sit, you are not prisoners." They obeyed. "You fear what you do not understand," the queen continued. "That is reasonable. Most species fear me for reasons earned." Her eyes settled on Isiak. "But you did not beg. You did not lie. You asked to withdraw, knowing the risk." "I was trying to protect my people," Isiak said. "Exactly." Liratha replied. She moved closer and studied Myra. "Your translator is impressive," she said. "And flawed." Myra swallowed. "We will correct it." "No," Liratha said. "You will not." The word hit hard. "The trial bond requires honesty," the queen said. "Your flaws will be part of the trial." "So will mine." Doyon frowned. "You admit flaws?" Liratha smiled. "Only fools claim perfection." She turned back to Isiak. "Do you know why the assembly laughed?" "No," he said. "Because no one proposes to me," she replied. "Not in jest. Not in courage. Not in ignorance. They kneel. Or they scheme." Her voice lowered. "You stood." Isiak felt heat rise to his face. "I was terrified." "And yet you spoke," she said. "Fear did not stop you." The room was quiet for a long moment. "Tell me," Liratha said, "what does humanity believe gives life value?" Myra blinked. "That's a large question." "Yes," the queen agreed. "Answer it anyway." Isiak thought of Earth, of crowded cities and empty fields, of people who argued, failed, loved, and kept going. "We believe value comes from choice," he said. "The choice to try again." Liratha watched him closely. "Most empires answer with power. Or order." "Those don't last," Isiak said. The queen laughed softly. "You speak like someone who expects to fall." "We do," he replied. "Often." A tone sounded through the room. "The first observation begins," the distant voice announced. The floor shimmered. Images rose around them. A planet appeared, blue and green, cracking under violent storms. Cities flooded. Fires spread. "This is a simulation," Myra whispered. "Based on real failures," Liratha said. "This world asked for aid. The cost is high. The reward is low." "What does humanity do?" Isiak's breath caught. "We help, even if it weakens you?" Liratha asked. "Yes," he said without pause. The scene changed. Human ships appeared, small but many, working together, saving lives at great cost. Supplies ran low. Some ships did not return. Doyan clenched his jaw. "That's accurate," he said quietly. The queen observed in silence. "Many species would abandon this test," she said. "You did not." The image faded. "This is only the beginning," Liratha said. "The bond will expose you." "It will expose me." Myra looked up. "Why risk that?" The queen's eyes darkened. "Because eternity without change is another kind of death." She turned to leave, then paused. "You may hate me before this ends," she said to Isiak. "Or I may regret laughing." "Do you regret it now?" he asked. Liratha smiled, slow and thoughtful. "No," she said. "I am curious." The wall closed behind her. Isiak sat back down, his chest tight. "We're being tested like a story," Myra said. "No," Isiak replied. "Like a promise." Outside the room, unseen by humans, ancient eyes watched the simulations begin, and for the first time in a long age, the galaxy paid attention to Earth. Time lost its shape inside the station. Days might have passed. Or weeks, Isiok could not tell. The light never changed, and the air always felt the same. But the tests did not stop Dot. They came as scenes, questions, and choices. Sometimes the room filled with images of distant worlds. Sometimes it became a wide, empty space where voices asked simple questions with sharp meaning. Mira worked constantly, adjusting numbers, recording patterns, trying to understand how the Concord judged Worth. Park Doyan watched everything in silence. He spoke little, but when he did, it mattered. Isiok felt tired deep in his bones. Yet his mind stayed awake. Another simulation formed around them. This time, it was a battlefield. Human ships faced a stronger enemy force. The enemy offered terms. Retreat now, and only a small human colony would be lost. Stay and fight, and many ships would be destroyed. The voice returned. Choose. Myra's hands trembled. This is not fair, she said. No, Isiok replied. But it is familiar. He stepped forward. We don't abandon them. The battle played out. Human ships moved in close formations, protecting weaker vessels. Losses were heavy. The colony survived. Silence followed. You accept inefficiency, the voice said. Why? Because people are not numbers, Isiok answered. The scene faded. Later, Queen Liratha appeared again, watching from the edge of the room. She did not speak during the tests. She only observed. Between trials. She sometimes asked questions. Why does your kind argue so much among itself? She asked once. Because we disagree, Mira said. And because disagreement means we are still thinking. Liratha considered that. Another test came without warning. This time, there was no simulation. A real emergency signal cut through the chamber. A small trade station on the edge of Concord space had lost power. Its life systems were failing. The station was not under human protection. Helping would violate several minor treaties. The voice spoke again. Assistance is optional. Doyan looked at Isiok. Orders? Isiok closed his eyes for a moment. He imagined the council on Earth, the careful rules, the fear of punishment. Send aid? He said. Mira stared. This isn't a test, is it? I think it is, Isiok replied. Human ships already stationed nearby were redirected. Engineers worked without pause. Doyan coordinated evacuations personally. Some Concord observers protested. Queen Liratha did not. The station survived. Casualties were low. Afterward, Liratha entered the chamber alone. You broke protocol, she said. Yes, Isiok answered. Why? Because lives were ending while rules argued. He said. Her gaze sharpened. Rules are what keep empires alive. Maybe, Isiok replied. But rules didn't build us. People did. For a long moment, Liratha said nothing. You remind me of my people, she said at last. Before we became careful. The words sounded like regret. Not all tests favored humanity. In one scenario, human honesty caused panic among allies. In another, refusal to control information led to riots. The Concord observers took careful notes. Myra grew frustrated. They punish transparency, she said. They want clean answers. We don't have those, Isiok replied. Then you will lose. A cold voice said. An alien delegate appeared on the far side of the chamber. Tall and thin, with eyes like dark glass. Who are you? Doyan demanded. A concerned observer, the being replied. Your bond disrupts balance. Queen Liratha stepped forward at once. You overstep. Do I? The delegate asked calmly. Human unpredictability spreads instability. Isiok met its gaze. We are not a weapon, he said. We are a people. That is the problem, the delegate replied. The figure vanished. Myra whispered. They're afraid. Yes, Liratha said. They should be. She turned to Isiok. Your kind changes systems simply by existing. Is that bad? He asked. For those who benefit from stillness, she said. Yes. That night, or what felt like night, Isiak could not sleep. He stood near the viewing glass and watched stars slide past. Liratha joined him. You carry weight well, she said. I don't feel strong, he replied. Strength is rarely felt, she said. It is noticed by others. He hesitated, then spoke. If this bond ends badly, Earth will suffer. Yes, she said. And if it ends well? Liratha looked out at the stars. Then the galaxy will have to learn something new. What? That power does not need distance to rule, she said. Sometimes it stands beside you and asks questions. The next test arrived quickly. Myra uncovered it first. The translation core, she said. It's biased. Ancient species get priority meaning. Newer ones are flattened. That changes everything, Doyan said. Isiak understood. It has shaped history. Yes, Myra replied. For centuries. Reporting it would shake the Concord. Hiding it would be safer. The voice spoke again. Proceed. Isiak looked at Liratha. She watched him closely. She did not guide him. Expose it. Isiak said. Myra sent the data. The reaction was immediate. Outrage. Denial. Fear. Ancient delegates accused humanity of sabotage. Queen Liratha stood. The data is correct, she said. I confirm it. The chamber fell silent. You risk much, Isiak said quietly. Liratha's eyes were steady. So did you. The trial continued, but something had changed. Humanity was no longer being observed alone. Now, the galaxy was being tested too. The air inside the station felt heavier after the truth about the translation. System spread. Meetings were called without humans present. Signals moved fast across the Concord network. Whispers followed Isiak and his team wherever they went. Some delegates looked at them with anger, others with fear. Queen Liratha was summoned before the High Circle. She did not ask Isiak to follow, but he watched the doors close and felt a sharp pull in his chest. Myra paced the chamber. They will try to separate us, she said. End the bond quietly, or loudly, Doyan replied. With blame. Isiak nodded. They need a reason. That reason came sooner than expected. An alarm sounded, low and deep. The walls shifted, showing a live feed. A convoy of Concord ships burned in open space. Wreckage drifted like ash. A voice spoke, cold and official. Evidence suggests human systems were involved. Myra stared at the data. That's impossible. Those codes are old. We don't even use them anymore. Someone wants it to look real, Doyan said. The feed changed. Images of human ships appeared, blurred but familiar. Isiak felt sick. They're framing us. The doors opened. Guards entered, not hostile, but firm. You will remain here, one said. For your safety. For theirs. Doyan muttered. Across the station, the High Circle gathered. Ancient species spoke with practiced calm. Humanity disrupts order, one said. They expose weaknesses, said another. They inspire unrest, a third added. Queen Liratha stood alone before them. You fear loss of control, she said. Fear collapse, replied the speaker. The bond must. And another voice said, by law. Liratha's eyes flashed. By law, the accused may answer. Humans are not present. The circle replied, then you break your own. Rules, she said. Silence followed. They will bring war. The circle warned. They already brought truth. Liratha replied. In the holding chamber. Isiak felt the moment something changed. The lights dimmed. A private channel opened. Envoy Kang, Liratha's voice said. Listen carefully. I'm listening, he replied. They intend to declare your species hostile, she said. The frame gives them excuse. Isiak closed his eyes. Then release us. And the bond? There was a pause. No, Liratha said. Why? He asked. You will lose everything. Yes, she replied. But not myself. The channel closed. Myra looked at him. What did she say? That she's choosing? He answered. The guards returned. Uneasy now. You are ordered to transmit all human military data, one said. No, Isiak replied. That refusal confirms guilt, the guard said. Du Yun stepped forward. We will comply with lawful process only. The guard hesitated and left. Minutes later, the station shook. Not from weapons, from arrivals. Human ships dropped out of jump space around the station. Not a fleet of conquest, but a formation of support craft, medical vessels, engineers, and defense ships linked by shared command. Mira's eyes widened. They came anyway. Isiak felt his throat tighten. Earth chose. A broadcast spread across the Concorde. This is Earth, the signal said. We deny the charges. We will not fire first. We will not abandon our people or our allies. Some delegates panicked. Others prepared weapons. Queen Liratha appeared before the high circle again. Observe, she said. They come not to rule, but to stand. They threaten balance, the circle replied. Balance built on silence is a lie, Liratha said. Outside. A Concorde task force moved to intercept the human ships. Du Yun watched the feeds. They will be outgunned. Yes, Isiak said, but not outnumbered. Human ships moved closer together, overlapping shields, sharing power. When one was hit, others compensated. No single loss broke the line. They fight like they live, Mira said. Together. A Concorde cruiser fired. Human ships did not respond. They held position. The galaxy watched. Queen Liratha raised her voice across all channels. Stop, she commanded. The cruiser hesitated. By my authority, she said. Any further attack will be treated as rebellion. Shock rippled through the Concorde. You would defend them? The high circle demanded. I defend the future, Liratha replied. She turned to the assembly. For ages, we ruled by distance and fear. Humanity rules nothing, yet they share everything. The high circle fell into argument. Old alliances cracked. New voices spoke. In the human chamber. The doors opened. You are free to speak, a voice said. Isiak stepped forward, broadcasting to all. We did not come to replace you, he said. We came because someone laughed instead of killing us. Murmurs spread. We make mistakes, Isiak continued. We fall, but we don't let go. He looked straight ahead. If that makes us dangerous, then judge us honestly. Silence followed. Then Queen Liratha spoke one final time. The bond stands, she declared. And so do I? The decision fractured the Concorde, but it did not break. As the station steadied and weapons powered down. Isiak realized something important. This was no longer a trial of humanity. Alone. It was a test of whether the galaxy could change. The station was quiet after the standoff, but it was not calm. Delegates moved carefully now. Words were chosen with more care. Power, once assumed, felt uncertain. The Concorde had not shattered, but it had cracked, and through those cracks, something new was forming. Human ships remained in position, shields lowered, weapons cold. They did not advance. They did not retreat. They waited. Inside the station. Kang Isiak stood alone in the wide chamber where it had all begun. The floor still shimmered faintly from old energy patterns. He remembered the laughter. He remembered the fear that followed. The doors opened. Queen Liratha entered without ceremony. She looked different now. Not weaker, but lighter, as if a long weight had shifted. The crown of light above her head was dimmer, more stable. You should not be alone, she said. I wanted to see this place again, Isiak replied. Before it changes. It already has, she said. They stood in silence for a moment. The high circle will not move against Earth, Liratha said. Not openly and quietly? Isiak asked. They will watch, she replied. They will wait for failure. That's fair, he said. We do that too. She looked at him with interest. You are not offended. No, Isiak said. Being watched means being taken seriously. A signal pulsed through the chamber. The assembly requests closure of the bond, an official voice announced. By reaffirmation or dissolution. Isiak felt his chest tighten. Closure, he repeated. Yes, Liratha said. This is the moment the galaxy will remember. They walked together toward the central platform. As they moved, the chamber filled with figures. Delegates appeared in layers, watching closely. Some were tense, others curious. Queen Liratha stepped forward first. For ages, she said, her voice carrying easily, the Concord has endured by controlling change. We preserved peace by limiting growth. Murmurs spread. Humanity arrived without power, without fear of gods, she continued. They spoke carelessly. They acted deliberately. Isiak stood beside her, feeling every gaze. The bond was formed by mistake, Liratha said. But meaning does not require intention to exist. She turned to Isiak. Speak. He took a breath. I did not mean to propose, he said simply. A ripple of reaction moved through the chamber. But I meant every promise that followed. He looked around. We do not ask to rule. We do not ask to be protected forever. We ask to stand where we can be seen and judged honestly. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. If that offer is unacceptable, Isiak continued, then release us. We will leave with no anger. Silence stretched. Queen Liratha lifted her hand. I refuse dissolution, she said. Gasps echoed. The bond will not be personal, she continued, nor symbolic alone. It will be structural. The high circle spoke at once. You overreach. I redefine, Liratha replied. She faced the assembly. The Concord will no longer be ruled by a single crown. Authority will be shared among equals. Outrage followed. You would end the hierarchy? A delegate cried. Yes, Liratha said. I will. She turned to Isiak, and humanity will be the first new voice. The chamber erupted in argument. Myra watched from the edge, hands pressed together, barely breathing. Doyan stood like stone, ready for violence that did not come. Finally, the noise faded. A senior delegate spoke. If the Queen steps down from singular rule, the bond changes form. I know, Liratha said. And the proposal? The delegate asked. Liratha smiled. That, she said, was always mine to answer. She looked at Isiak again, not as a ruler to a subject, but as one being to another. You offered partnership, she said. You offered shared fate without chains. Isiak nodded. Yes, she inclined her head. I accept, Queen Liratha said. Freely, publicly, clearly. The words settled into the record. The Concord changed in that moment. Not with war, not with conquest, but with agreement. Later, as the assembly dispersed and the station returned to its steady rotation, Isiak stood once more by the viewing glass. Myra joined him. Do you understand what just happened? She asked. Some of it, he replied. Not all. Doyan crossed his arms. You just helped end an empire. Or saved it, Isiak said. Queen Liratha approached quietly. Earth will struggle, she said. Growth always hurts. We know, Isiak replied. She looked out at the stars. So will the Concord. A human ship passed slowly into view, followed by alien vessels of many kinds. Was it worth laughing that day? Isiak asked. Laratha's smile was gentle. Yes, she said, because laughter opened a door fear never could. The stars turned dot, and for the first time, humanity was not reaching for the galaxy dot. It was standing within it.